industries right on top of our water systems, right? And here we have our most holiest waterways we have, when our ancestors paddled through this water, and it's just pretty incredible to, to come down to this water and, make that connection that, we've always had.
And right across the inlet from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation is the Westridge Dock in Burnaby, which would carry over 1 million barrels of bitumen through the twinning of the Trans Mountain pipeline that connects the oil sands in Alberta to the Pacific Ocean. The bitumen would then be loaded onto supertankers to be taken overseas to Asian markets. Will George has dedicated the last decade of his life to defending the land from the impending completion of that pipeline project. George says it's not a matter of if, but when a major spill will happen along these shorelines.
Bitumen it sinks to the bottom. You cannot recover it. So there's lots of facades. You look in, there's spill response vessels all along the coast. That's a facade. People think, okay, look at they have these vessels. They have a plan, but it's a facade. It's a lie, and it's sinister because you cannot clean this up. It will sink to the bottom. And that's the threat that poses to our sailor seas.
George acknowledges that there are many First Nations that have signed benefit agreements along the route, but he says what's at stake is more important than money.
There's a lot of emotions that tie it into it. Again, we find artifacts on this beach. This is our holiest territories we have left, and then for that government to continually plow through our territories and create that divide amongst our people for our resource extractions, and then it's been a challenge, but being here, and it's always a blessing. It's always heartwarming to be here and do this work, and to share that message that threat is right there.
George has just completed a film called Warrior Spirit, and it's about his journey as a land protector.
I caught fish for my nation. The fish, this land, is everything to my people. I was on the water a lot, and so I saw firsthand how my home was changing. The Broad Inlet, the sacred waters where my people have harvested salmon for thousands of years, is getting busier every day. There are tankers everywhere, carrying millions of dollars of cargo. This film is something dear to my heart, something I created, over the years of freedom fighting, over the years of blockading, and that was all very necessary at the time, but, being part of that cinematic history and telling the story in that sense is pretty incredible to be a part of, to direct it myself, produce it, and bring this forward to my family, and then, a larger audience.
And his activism work has included being suspended underneath the Second Narrows Bridge for 48 hours, along with helping build this watch house, then living in it that was along the path of the impending pipeline. He, along with his family, have been at the forefront of the resistance against TMX. And for that decade of activism, Will George has had to go to court and has even served jail time, but it's something, he says, is a small price to pay.
Obviously, they're charged you with contempt of court. Going in these courtrooms, we know this. Us Indigenous people, we know this. Our fight for survival is completely different from anyone else's.
It's a supernatural, beautiful coastline, unique to most parts of the world. So it's a high honor for me to stand up and continue protecting our lands.
The project was originally estimated to cost $5 billion to build, but those costs have now ballooned to $35 billion to be paid by taxpayers. Tina House, APTN National News, North Vancouver.